Hello team. The video you're about to watch is me taking the spoiler off and attempting to replace it with a different spoiler. So really lightning fast backstory. Bought a car, had it unwrapped, realized there were multiple colors to the car underneath because different body parts from different Zs were used, namely the rear spoiler, and I believe they took it off a Gen 1 Nismo because they liked the wing. Now, either the former owner did this because they liked the shape of the wing more and was like, I'm not going to repaint it, I'll just wrap it. Or there was damage to the car from the dealership side that they obfuscated by just finding a replacement spoiler and then having the car wrapped and sold it. I think the latter is probably true. That's a longer story. Anyway, I took it in to have it repainted. This video is me kind of unpacking how the paint shop did by disassembling the car after their work. So about 3 weeks ago, which makes this a year after it was painted just about, I was driving home from like a 2-hour drive, and the spoiler almost flew off the car. The top blade almost came off. And when I kind of pried it open and looked under there, the paint shop, who were the last people to disassemble it, didn't use the bolts to put it back together. They just bonded the top to the stanchions and then kind of glued it back on. So I bought a replacement spoiler. I'm about to take mine off and put the replacement one on until I run into some unforeseen issues. But the audio is really bad because I forgot to turn the microphone on, and it was very, very hot, and I was trying to get the job done as quick as possible. So anyway, apologies in advance for the audio. This is me fumbling around with the spoiler removal and what we learned. Enjoy. Okay. All right, so it's super hot out. We're filming a video like an asshole. So we have taken the bottom plate off, the trim piece. I recommend a trim tool of some kind, or perhaps an array of trim tools to use. They're all just pop clips. And then there's 2 bolts. This one's in the back that way. This one's more up front that way. And you fish a 10 millimeter up inside this hole, you're not going to see it. And there are 2 pins. One's kind of straight on, one's kind of back here a little bit, that way. And to my knowledge, that's the only 2 bolts holding the spoiler on. And we are going to find out here in a second when I try to take this off. So join me. Whew. All right, update. So I've got good news and terrible news. The good news is we successfully got the spoiler off, and it's exactly what I thought. There's a few push clips that seat into all these little sunk-in grommets, and they just use a real razor-thin 3M style tacky tape here. More good news, they actually painted under here, which I'm fucking shocked about because they ripped this into 2 pieces, this spoiler, and then fucking bonded the top to the bottom where it almost ripped apart while I was driving. So I didn't feel super secure about how I had this thing glued because I could only do it upside down. And to be honest, it's not the world's best job because I had to do this upside down. So like you can see, this whole underline is just not amazing. And even more good news is the word Nissan. So this is a factory Gen 1 Nismo spoiler, which makes me feel much better. So if you're curious, the underside, this is the part that pokes through. That's the part that you put the male end in and sandwich on there. So I'm going to replace these grommets, rip off all this 3M outside tape, rip off all this, get this paint as corrected as I can, reseal my third brake light because it's in dire fucking straits and broken, and go from there. The bad news is the replacement spoiler I have
which is the one I want to put on because it doesn't require anything other than 2 pins. It's super fucking lightweight, it's super fucking low profile, and it's veil side. Is if I set this on here, even if I remove these bumpers on the outside edge that's kind of keeping the spoiler off the body line, even if that's sitting full down like that, I have all these holes to fill on the top. I think if that'll hold and not fall off, and because it's mine, it will. I think the profile of that looks super sweet. Super low pro, nice little kick ducktail. Obviously nothing's like super centered and stuff like that. And my little Veilside logo that goes there, it just pockets itself right around that third brake light, and it probably doesn't require an awful lot of shaving and trimming. The problem with the gap that you see under here is this little standoff right here on both sides. And I'm pretty sure once you remove that, you can get this to fit without shaving and all that shit. But all my top holes are going to be exposed, and that's going to look gross. And I'm going to have to take this spoiler and hardware. Sorry, it's very dark in here. Spoiler and hardware and everything to an actual body shop, which means we have to fill holes in the trunk and repaint the trunk again. So that's the update. This is going to be very, very, very good how I'm going to put it back together. I have to run the old one. I'm just going to re-glue it. Re-glue it appropriately where it'll set. Put it on the car where I feel confident that it's not going to fly off. And thankfully I only broke one push clip, and I have all brand new sealant, 3M tape, the whole 9 yards. So I'm going to get after stripping this hood down, reset the spoiler, and put it back together. So unfortunate it did not work how I wanted it to, and I have a very nice spoiler that I can't use right now. The alternative would be maybe I could find a QAB pearl white paint code trunk that's in perfect condition, that's not drilled for a spoiler, and then drill and set the Veilside one on there. But reason I'm not gonna fiddle fuck around with that tonight is I have exactly one more day to finish this car before I get on the road. So I'm gonna get after it. Disappointed. All right, team, quick update. If you have the right tools, like a trim removal set, you can soak down the sticky parts with Goo Gone, and you can use that like a plastic razor blade and just etch it off. 10 minutes if you have the right tools. Ta-da! So what I did was I alternated between Goo Gone and the scraping tool to pull that out, and then just blue Scott shop towels to wipe it off. And then to pull the residue off, I used a really, really aggressive degreaser, and then I immediately washed the car with regular car soap and water. And what you don't want to do is fill these holes up with water. So we're going to have a little bit of water in there because remember the plastic trim tool is taken off. But that's it. I mean, with the right tools, 10 minutes tops. Don't be afraid. Plastic is not going to fuck your paint up. Don't use metal. Metal will fuck your paint up. But there we are. So the car's done. It's ready to have this reinstalled. What I got to do is remove all this gummy stuff here, which I can use probably a plastic pry tool or maybe my own fingers that's coming right off. And I'm going to fix this little push clip right here and right here. And we're just going to sink that back on for now. Before we reinstall it, obviously I'm going to use gravity to my advantage and actually spot fill and glue up all the spots that have holes in them and shit. So that's a bummer. The Veilside kit doesn't work without a bumper that's not drilled on the top for a Nismo spoiler. So we either fill and paint this this hatch a second time, or I find a regular base model hatch to install it on and repaint it QAB white, because I don't think they had base models or non-spoiler models in this paint code, but maybe they did. So anyway, that's it. We're basically 3/4 of the way done. I'm gonna put a little glue in there, we'll put new sealant around the outside. Off camera, I'm gonna take a little time and fill the gaps in on this third brake light. And yeah, we struck out again, but the good news is that is an OEM spoiler. Bad news is it's still not safe to drive with, so I'm gonna fix that. And then I'll have to put it on, and we will wait for our custom spoiler later on. All right, so if you're curious, we used the 2 bolt holes that were up there and guided the pins right back through. We VHB'd everything, we cleaned up the lines. I know it's dark in here, so I'm sorry about that. Resealed all the edges, and I'm gonna put a little weight on this thing. To hold everything down. So if you're curious about the bottom plate, this is what you're looking at. You got a row of back clips right there, and a row of front clips right here. Front clips are like a red color. And I kind of insert it into here and push the back ones up first, and then kind of roll the back on like that. Can't do it with one hand, so I'll show you when it's done. All right, that literally took 2 seconds. Sorry about that. I just needed both hands. Anyway, these seams match up, and this little flappy bit stays attached, and it folds out this way. There's 2 10mm bolts here, and then over here on this side right here. And then you just kind of go like this. And it all seamlessly fits together. We didn't break any clips. We broke clips in the wing, but not the trunk, or the trunk liner, which is great. So, not the outcome we wanted, but we were able to fix the wing more confidently. So I guess that's something. So anyway, there you have it. 370Z Nismo. Fun with very basic stuff when you have the right tools. Not that hard, just takes a lot of patience. In like 111-degree heat. That's the problem. So I'm gonna fuck off now and go inside.